Hey Genesee Valley, sports reporter Chris Graham here with sports reporter John Crowther for another edition of the Sports Show. We're here at Geneseo High School, right on the football field, bringing the sports show to you. Once again, we're trying to do a different field every single week. So if you have any suggestions of where you'd like to see the sports show next, log on to the Genesee Sun Facebook page. Give us your feedback. John, we had a good week again, good weekend for football, and a really offensive game that started us off between Holly and York. The final score was Holly defeated York 43-40, but definitely some players, you don't score 40 points and not have some good offensive performances. York, Kelvin Boise, a running back, 17 carries, 173 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Tyler Schutz, their quarterback, 157 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. So a very good offensive day for them, but like we were saying a little bit before we went on the air, that's a high-scoring game, but not the result they wanted.
No, definitely not, but they're going to look to rebound next week, for sure.
Yeah, they'll play Letchworth next week, the record now at 2-2. Another game that we had this weekend, Cal Mum versus Dansville, to the tune of 42-25, Cal Mum over Dansville. Some very good offensive performances from Cal Mum as well. Curtis Haught, a running back, 10 carries, 162 yards rushing, and 4 touchdowns, so a big offensive day for him. And Mike Nevinger had 18 carries, 159 yards, and a touchdown. And the biggest thing I think about this game is Cal Mum stays undefeated.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Teams look to stay undefeated.
Yeah, definitely. They've had a really good start to the year. They'll try to keep that undefeated streak going as they'll play Avon next Friday. What game did you have this weekend, John?
In a battle of undefeateds, Livonia dropped its first game of the year to Hornell, 35-22. The most impressive thing about this game, Chris, Hornell won its 43rd straight game, dating back to 2009.
That's, you talk about something like that. That's really impressive. We see turnover in high school football, new teams obviously every year for a varsity squad. So to keep that kind of consistency, that's very impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Hornell was led by quarterback Richie Harkenrider, who scored 4 total touchdowns. And despite Livonia quarterback Connor Pierce's 2 touchdowns, they weren't able to come back in this game.
Yeah, a tough luck loss for them. And who do they have up next?
They'll play Attica next week at home.
Avon's cross country teams also had a good weekend this past weekend. They played were at the GCC Invite on Saturday. The boys team with an 8th place finish. That's up 6 spots from 14th last year, and that's a big improvement.
It is a big improvement, Chris. They'll definitely look to work on that momentum.
Yeah, definitely.
As the season goes on a little bit more.
Definitely. And on the girls' side for cross country, Anna Phillips had another good outing. We talked about her a little bit last week. She had the highest finish for anybody from Avon in a runner-up performance. So another really good and productive weekend for the boys and girls cross country teams at Avon. And SUNY Geneseo's women's soccer team had some action this past weekend as well.
They did, Chris. They played Fredonia Friday, and despite goals by Olivia Panapinto and Amanda Gray, they lost this one in double overtime. Played really strong, but a double overtime loss isn't something to be ashamed of.
No, not at all. I mean, obviously you were in the game, competitive in the game, to obviously not just 1 overtime, but 2 overtimes, so certainly something they can build off of.
Definitely, and goalie Julia Sanger played really well Friday night, but not only she played better Saturday in a 0-0 draw against Buffalo State. Scoreless game, obviously, there's not that much excitement, but Sanger really pulled it out this game for her second shutout for Geneseo.
Yeah, and you talk about it. Certainly you don't get the offense there, but you obviously have good defense and good goaltending if you get to a 0-0 draw. As
Definitely, and it's something to work on. Tell me about high school soccer.
Yeah, I had high school soccer right here on this field on Thursday. Geneseo defeated Letchworth 4-0, and the big story about this game was Jake Fatimo, who was getting his first start in goal. He's normally, I believe, a defender, and he had never started in goal before. Got the shutout. He was playing in place of their normal keeper, who had gotten a concussion. So very impressive outing for him to come out with no real experience in the season of doing this and throw a shutout.
Yeah, it's really a shining moment for that young man.
Yeah, definitely impressive. So we'll see if he can keep it up going through the rest of the season as they try to get a little bit healthier. That's all for this week's show. We hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, if you have any suggestions of where you'd like to see the sports show next week, go on to the Genesee Sun Facebook page. For John Crowther, I'm Chris Graham. Have a good night, Genesee Valley, and go Bills.